Welcome back here to Newport Richey, Florida, Lane Glo Bowl, the 2018 Lucas Magazine Classic. Our Stepladder final is about to get underway. Craig Elliott here with Tom Carter for our Stepladder final. And Tom, we've got a pretty impressive top five. Joel Carlson, Ron Mohr, Walter Ray Williams Jr., Mike Mineman, and Warren Eales. The story, I think, today, though, is Walter Ray Williams Jr. with 47 national titles. That's
more titles than the whole field combined together.
And more titles than Warren Eales, our tournament leader, has even bowled in his career. Walter, 107 wins, all-time total events. But what's the secret for Warren Eales?
He's bowling the greatest of all time. He's got to keep his head screwed on. He's got a great game. Tall, lanky guy, long swing. He's got a great game. He just can't get too nervous bowling the greatest bowler in the world.
And, of course, there's a few matches for Walter can get to that title match. Our opening match, Joel Carlson and newly inducted Hall of Famer Ron Mohr, who's been a force on the senior tour for a decade now. I mean, Ron Mohr just continues to do what he does.
He's what I call a grinder. He was kind of out of it. We didn't think he was even going to be close to the show, and all of a sudden, here he comes, leapfrogging person after person. You know, Joel throws at a 6 count, his last ball, but luckily 2 other pins fall to make it to the show to bowl one of the toughest grinders I've ever seen.
Yeah, and Carlson gets in by a pin. He bowled great over the last couple of days here. We're going to get off the lanes. We'll let our competitors practice and get ready for the Stepladder final. Enjoy the show. And it's time, Tom Carter. Opening match, Ron Mohr, Joel Carlson. We've got is this the first shot, or they get another practice shot or two? Yeah, a couple more practice shots.
I'm going to say, he's talking. I hope it's a couple more practice shots.
So, I mean, you know, bio-wise, Ron Mohr, 2018 PBA Hall of Fame. Senior Player of the Year, 2009, 2011. 9 senior titles, 19 senior regionals, 1 other regional, and only 1 regional win for Joel Carlson. Doesn't bowl a lot of tournaments, but he's here. He's bowled great all week. We saw him get in by 1 pin. Needed 8 on the fill, and he got 6, 7, then 8. He just got enough. What does Joel Carlson have to do to beat the great Ron Mohr?
Well, just talking to Joel, I bowled with him for years. He's from the Midwest. He's a good player, but he's nervous. And when you're on the show,
I hope he's nervous.
Yeah, he's nervous, and he's just got to make good shots and just totally forget about who he's bowling. You know, Ron Mohr is not there. You can't even worry about that. You just got to be you in the pins and make good shots. You know, Ron Mohr, we've seen it time and time again, especially last year. He's always in the top 5. He might be somewhere in the pack, but he's always in the top 5. At the end of the day, he grinds his way in. Somehow, miraculously, pins just start falling all over the place.
And how about Walter? I think he was 9th with 2 to go. He gets a game against Michael Haugen, shoots 268. Or I think Haugen shoots 268, but Walter
shoots 230 and loses, and Haugen goes around him. Then in the position round, they got to bowl each other again on the same pair. Yeah. And I thought, no, that's going to be all bad. But Walter figured out a way to shoot 277 to Michael's 259 to leapfrog from 6th back to 3rd.
And doesn't have to bowl the opening match. That's one less win he's got to get as he tries to win title 108.
108. We could be seeing here, watching history in the making. You know, 108 PBA titles. That's even hard to fathom.
And Warren Eales has only bowled 18 PBA tournaments.
Talking to him, he bowled from 82 to 85. He bowled a handful of tournaments out of college. And then he works for Customs. He went to work for Customs after that and been doing that for 30 years.
Yeah,
so this is just kind of a fluke thing. But he does have 2 seconds at the USBC Nationals in the team event. So, and I think a 4th place finish in all events. So he knows how to bowl. He's got a wonderful game to watch.
Yeah, 2nd last year in team event, actually. Former collegiate champion, back in '82. So it's been a while, but he's here. He qualifies first, a non-member. Could be the first non-member since Nick Morgan a long, long time ago, back in 2008, 10 years ago. But another record for Walter, he can actually run into 2nd for total PBA50 titles with 12, joining Tom Baker, Dale Eagle, and Gary Dickinson. So Walter's just going to continue to add to records if he wins here today, and no surprise.
Walter's kind of like wine. I think he just keeps getting better with age.
But I think a big shot for Carlson. His best finish 3rd a couple years ago in the Villages. He's bowled great for the last couple of days, but shake off the nerves. Can't kick out the 10.
The ball he used today, that mission, he only used it today. He didn't use it yesterday at all in qualifying. he said for him, he used a different ball, and he felt like he was throwing it 100 yesterday. And today, he went with a different ball with a pearl surface and slowed it down and give the ball more time to react. He had that one block. He had like 780 out of the gate the first 3 games, and he just lapped the field.
Oh, yeah, he just kept going. So that's interesting, though. So we're on 33-foot cheetah is, the name we give it. It's not like the normal cheetah, though. You don't usually see pearlized balls on cheetah.
No.
Or even the lines that these guys are kind of playing. It's playing longer. Talk about how the pattern played this week.
It was odd. It did play out, starting out. And like I said, it didn't feel like 33 feet because the ball didn't check as hard as we thought it was going to check. And the biggest thing on what I felt like with the old cheetah, you had to play out the whole time. If you missed in, the ball went dead left.
Sure.
And the guys never did ever get around 12 to 15 at the arrows and swing it that much, especially on the senior tour. And this pattern, like you said, it played longer. It almost seemed like a modified house shot to a certain extent because the guys could get in and cross anywhere from 13 to 15, take it to 2, 3, 4 down lane, and the ball would bounce back.
As we saw that shot from Ron Mohr, he's out there kind of playing the 2-board at 40-ish feet on a 33-foot pattern. So he's getting it well past the defined break point, or what you would kind of think.
Well, you would think it would jump
point.
out of the pattern a little bit stronger. And there's a lot of volume out there. There's 25 mils of oil out there, and it's a lot. And we're bowling on a new surface. This year, Lane Glo's got a new surface here compared to what we bowled on last year. And so a lot of guys thinking, man, the balls are going to go forever, and they didn't. The only thing that was a little odd about the pattern, I thought, it was kind of funny. You shoot towards the 10-pin, the ball kind of skidded forever. It even dropped off to the ditch, which you didn't think that would happen on 33 feet. But if you shot a 4 or 7, the ball just flat duck hook going across the middle of the lane.
And we saw a lot of missed 10-pins this week, all across the house, for that reason. You either missed it right, so if you knew don't miss it right, you pinched it left and you missed it by an inch. And we saw a lot of those.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, kind of like that.
This pattern is, I think, is easy to strike on, but brutal for spares because you never know what the ball's going to do, unless you got that game like Walter's got that can use Deadeye, can throw it, and Michael Hagen throw it really, really straight. And be
no
very
surprise
accurate.
that Walter's in the 3 spot. And Hagen, you mentioned, he misses by just a 1 pin to Joel Carlson. Did everything he could do, except get that extra couple of pins. And a ball change already for Carlson.
Yeah, he said he was going to go with the mission, but obviously that thought process has changed. And Joel played him farther right in qualifying, and in today he was crossing more like a lot of times 3, 4, 4, 5 at the arrows. As the day went on, he was more like 7, 8, 8, 9 out at the arrows. These are new patterns for us this year, so we knew they were going to be different. We just didn't know how different.
Do you think some of the players are going to get to 10? No. Do you think the players get tricked a little bit when they say, it's cheetah. All right, this is
I know
the ball I'm going to bring. This is what I should do. And you get here, and it's not even close.
I know they get tricked. I kind of wish we didn't have names for the patterns because that mind said, it's cheetah, and it's going to play this part of the lane. And guys do that. They pick an arsenal that's what they think they're going to do, and they never bring a ball that, I'll never have to get in with a pearl ball and swing it to the gutter. And that happened a lot yesterday, especially in games. We qualified for 10 games. And games 8, 9, and 10, guys were in, throwing the ball dead to the ditch and watching it just peel back.
So understanding that in the ball selection, Michael Hagen brought 2 bowling balls and a spare ball.
Yeah, because the rest of them were on the PBA trail. And he ended up bowling his last 2 games with a mix, which is basically a urethane plastic ball. He uses it for spares. And he was going dead off the 2-board right at the pocket. And that ball he had tug, and he was rolling it so heavy it actually recovered if he missed a little right.
Look at how Ron just peels it off the 2-board there, but the ball's just out of gas when it gets there.
Well, and that's the big problem. If you're throwing a big ball being like an alpha crux, what I think he's throwing, when it comes off the pattern, it's such a strong ball, it loses energy so fast. And since they just redone the lanes and the back ends are clean, it can lose. It looks like it's going to be good, but it loses so much energy quick, the ball just goes, it just doesn't have enough to drive.
And doesn't miss the 10-pin this time for the Hall of Famer.
Ron is such a perfectionist. He misses a pin. That eats on him, bad. He is an unbelievable player. We've talked about this before. last year, being an ex-traffic control air controller. You know,
No pressure in that job.
yeah, no, none. His mental game is so strong. Just his focus is incredible, and I think you would have to have that to be in that position. You know, landing planes and you got people's lives in your hand.
And you know, we watched it again around this week. We've seen him now for several years. He is always, I mean, every single shot, game one, shot one in qualifying, his intensity level is just off the chart.
Yeah, from the time he laces up those shoes and we start bowling, you can just see he's pretty much happy-go-lucky when he's on course and we're not bowling. But he's, you know, he talks to himself like that, and he's into it 100%.
Well, there was another guy who was pretty relaxed off the lanes, but once you got up on that approach, Pete Weber, you didn't mess with him.
No.
And it worked quite well for him.
Oh, yeah, and the last thing you ever wanted to do with Pete was make him mad because his focus got 10 times better.
Or tell him he can't do something. You can't make that cut. Really, watch me. And 7-pin now for Carlson. What did you see on that shot?
To me, that ball is just lazy down lane. It's not driving at all. True, he's controlling the back end of the lane. He's hitting the pocket. But against somebody like Ron Mohr that'll figure out how to start striking, you don't want to give him those chances.
Well, we mentioned that a lot over the last couple of days, especially through qualifying.
There we go.
That 7.
A 7-pin, you know it's going to hook, and you make that adjustment so it don't hook, then it hits something. And that happened to me twice yesterday. I hooked by a 7-pin. I go, okay, I'll move my feet 2 left. I won't hook by it. I never got there. Oh, those kind of things make those bald spots right there.
They sure do. But I guess talk a little bit, though, about what you mentioned about how the ball's out. And the players that really scored well figured out how to get the ball through the pins properly. Not just hitting the one through your pocket, but going through the pins properly.
Well, you got it to store energy. And a lot of guys used either ball speed or weaker releases, so the ball never read the front part of the lane. So after it got out of that 33-foot, then it started to pick up its roll, and then that's far enough down the lane that when it made its move, the ball would continue through the pins, and it would drive. And the guys that were rolling the ball a little bit too heavy, when it hit that dry at 33, 34 feet, balls started losing energy right away. Yeah. And it would look good, and you think, okay, and nope, 10. Lee Brocious that shot 300 and almost shot another 300 to make it into this in qualifying. He's bowling great, leaves a 5-7-10, you know, and the ball just went, oh, but that happens. You can't get the ball to lose energy too fast, but we want him to lose energy because if you have something that duck hooks out of your hand, as soon as it hits the dry, it wants to go left, which people then want to force their feet left and throw it back to the right, then it don't make it.
And now you bring washout into play.
Right.
You don't want to do that. Look at this one come back. And that's 43 feet or so down lane before it catches that, takes off.
Ron's got that ability to what we call have a hook set. Once his ball makes the move, it never just keeps going left. It kind of like hooks and sets and just goes to the pins.
Like Amuletto's done for decades.
Yeah. When Amuletto had that rollout shot like 2 feet right in front of the pocket and just pushed the pins back. Ron looks like a lot of times the ball's going to go high and it sets to the pocket. And with his roll, it looks if he gets it wide, he comes back and hits light and still strikes.
It's like he can get around a little bit more on 23, but not 24 right now.
Well, the right lanes were a little bit touchier for some reason. You felt like you had a little more forgiveness on the left lanes on this pattern in this house. Walter in the position round was having trouble on the right lane. Ball just didn't want to face up. It looked like it wanted to, but it's like there was oil down there at 42 feet, and it just skidded another 6 inches and wouldn't make the turn.
Carlson now to try to close that gap a little bit, and he does. Stays within the mark of Ron Mohr.
If we had miles per hour, I think that shot was just a touch faster and with a lot more roll on it than his previous shots to continue. On a short pattern, we say you got to get the ball to burn up, but it's a fine line there. If it burns up too soon,
right,
it's no good. But then if you try to throw it too hard, it never makes the turn. Because a lot of guys, when they try to throw it hard, they back out of it a little bit, and then you don't have the right roll. kind of got a unique arm swing there with that bent elbow.
He does, yeah. I was just noticing that. We got the good side look.
Yeah. And you're like, is his elbow okay? Yeah, it's fine. Kind of Matthew O'Grady elbow type thing.
Is that his way? That's how he kind of takes a little something off, though, right? Just kind of lets it fall down and flick it out there. And
well, he's always had that bent elbow, but I mean, he's adjusting his speed. He's just kind of like fluffing it off his hand. He's trying to get super soft at the bottom.
Two-time senior PBA Player of the Year, PBA50 Player of the Year. Ron Mohr, Hall of Famer. 9 wins, and that one just got away from him.
He did that in qualifying, and he came back and flushed it up. But when you're trying to play the lip, look at that. He crossed 8. He was hoping to get it to 2, and that went to -2.
Oh, we saw quite a few of those this week. It just happens when you're playing the gutter, literally, the 1-2 board.
Well,
that's going to happen.
Well, and I guess spec world, the rule of 31 on this 33-foot pattern, your break point's going to be 2 down lane, right?
Yeah.
And Larry did it again. He didn't like it, but he knocked 10 down. You're trying to get it to 2. Now we got a player coming up that's leading the tournament, is much straighter and much firmer playing, and he played out the whole time. But he's got enough speed to hold it there, and he's got enough hand to make it come back.
Yeah, talking about Warren Eales, who jumped around Mineman in that position around game to be our tournament leader. You mentioned Joel's a bit nervous. You think, is he watching? Did you like to watch your opponent in this position? Did you see that gutter round just through, or are you not even paying attention?
Yeah, if he didn't see it, he heard it, and he probably seen that gutter and went, oh, I got a spark of life,
Sure.
But again, you're bowling Ron Mohr, and there's no quit in that guy at all.
Yeah, he sits down, he's behind, and he gets back up on the approach 2 shots later. He's got a little lead.
Yeah. And he got it out to 2 again, it's real easy, and it's hard to believe, to push that ball to the gutter on 33 feet and it go to the gutter,
That double here can take a 21-pin lead. Joel, an insurance analyst from Omaha, actually in a couple Hall of Fames, Omaha and Madison, Wisconsin Hall of Fame, and any Wisconsin Hall of Fame is pretty impressive with the pedigrees of bowlers that come out of there.
Yeah, well, everybody at the USBC thinks that, you have to be from Wisconsin to win the USBC tournament.
Well, it seems like that at times, doesn't it?
They have some great bowlers up there, but with all the snow that they're getting up there, what else is there to do? Unless they like to snowmobile.
Sure. Well, there's this guy, Lenny Boris, who did pretty good at the USBC this year.
Yeah, he's not too bad. Dale Traver's not too bad either. You got some guys up there that kind of know how to throw a bowling ball.
And look left.
Yeah, that ball he got in, he never really got through it, and it was just kind of like beeline to the pocket. That was starting left off his hand. And it was down lane, it was like 5, 6, 6, 7. He never got it out to the friction.
And that's the difference, even though we call it Cheetah. And 2 years ago on Cheetah, that ball's Brooklyn.
Yes.
Easily Brooklyn.
Sideways. Yeah. I mean, every year out here we get new patterns, new volumes, new ratios. And so the first couple of tournaments that we bowl, it's all a learning experience all over again. Are you matching up? Does your ball roll right with the pattern? And they use different oils. We still use the same machine, but they design different patterns and different oils. I mean, for all the guys out here, that's why we're here, I believe, because we're challenged and we enjoy that part of it.
Ron really bearing down on this one.
Oh, that didn't help him out at all. Best he can shoot's 197. See that ball stop right? It just, he's got such forward roll on the ball. His ball, that's that hook set thing. It hooked and it's set, but unfortunately got it too far down the lane. When it made its move, it wasn't high enough in the pocket.
Well, if Ron gets all 3 Carlson's just going to need any kind of a mark. And guess what? You get to bowl Walter Ray your next match if that happens.
What can you say when you bowl Walter Ray? I'm just going to give it my best shot and hope I knock him down more pins than he does. Because you know that you could be Walter's best friend and he is not giving you a break. He's going to knock down every pin he can.
Well, and you know what? Ron's doing what he has to do. Force your opponent to mark. Right? That's all you can do.
At this point, that's all you can do. You know that if he gets up and does what he's supposed to do, you're going to lose. He's going to win. But if you throw all three, you're hoping that maybe he squeezes a little bit, and if he big fours or something, there's a chance that
we've seen a lot of splits.
Yeah. PBA washout, 4 through the middle. I mean, there's anything that can happen. You know?
Remember, for Carlson to get here, he just needed 8, and he did not throw a good shot when the pressure was on.
No, I mean, he had the 2, 4, 8, 10, and it ended up being just the 2, 10. Mm-hmm. The other 2 fell out. I mean, everybody's back here 6, 7.
Oh yeah,
8.
it was crumbling. It was crumbling. So Ron did what he's got to do: force a mark.
You know, that's the worst thing. You say, all I have to do is mark. And what's the hardest pin to pick up on this? It seems like a 10 pin. Wouldn't want to be shooting a 10 pin on this thing.
All right, that's what Hall of Famers do.
Well, you know, that's what he's done all through qualifying and match play today. It looks like he's out of it, and somewhere along the line, he grinds out enough to force you to make a mistake.
What do you think's going through Carlson's mind now? He was nervous earlier.
Well, he's going to take some extra time. You know, he's throwing a completely different ball. He didn't throw the whole tournament on that shot that he got 6 on. It ended up being 8. He just overthrew it. He threw it too hard.
He likes it.
Oh, that was a good shot. He didn't. I was waiting for him to amp it up to keep it online, then leave something. But
and that's a good shot for him for later. Now he knows under the gun I can get up, and now I can do it.
Right.
That 8 count, 6, 7, 8 count he had earlier, that's gone. It's over.
Yep.
Now he knows he can do it.
He can just talk about that at dinner tonight.
So Joel Carlson defeats Hall of Famer Ron Mohr, and guess what? We've got one more Hall of Famer with 107 total PBA wins, 47 national titles, 7-time Player of the Year. We could go on and on and on with these numbers.
How much stuff you want to read?
Walter Ray Williams Jr. I think another interesting stat, if you look at the total number of tournaments, if you add up Carlson, Mineman, and Warren Eales, Walter has bowled more tournaments easily than all of them combined.
Walter's been doing this a long time.
A long time. So
and he's traveled everywhere to bowl.
Carlson's got his work cut out for him. We're getting a couple practice shots in here. Nice job, Ron Mohr. Way to start the 2018 PBA50 season in another stepladder final, like we see all the time with Ron.
He was in every stepladder final last year, I think.
I think so. Sure seemed like it. So next up, Walter Ray Williams Jr., Joel Carlson, PBA50 Lucas Magazine Classic here in Port Richey. Here to come back to live action here. Walter Ray, Joel Carlson, final couple practice shots. We've got Tom Cutter out there doing double duty as he's got to work on getting Walter lined up, which Walter doesn't usually need a lot of help getting lined up. There's Tom. Team Brunswick there. Carlson staying loose and having the conversations there with Tom and Walter on how to approach this, getting out a spare ball, which he knows he's going to need. And we just saw some footage from last year, I believe. Walter making the stepladder finals. Find all sorts of old coverage on the PBA YouTube channel or at the archives at PBA.com.
Gentlemen, we're ready for match number 2 here at Lane Glo Bowl. And it's Joel Carlson, the winner of match number 1, and he'll be facing quite an opponent. You all know this gentleman. He's from Oxford, Florida. He's won 47 times on the PBA Tour, 11 times out here on the PBA50 Tour. Named the PBA Tour Player of the Year for 7 years. Give it up for PBA and USBC Hall of Famer Walter Ray Williams Jr. Guys, good luck.
So Walter's won a couple of things, is what we just heard from Nishan.
It'd be easier if he just handed out pamphlets.
Yeah. Here's the Encyclopedia Britannica.
On bowling, Walter Ray Williams.
I have to bring in a truck to carry all those books. Carlson now Got a win under his belt.
Yep.
And now you get to go.
He switched balls again.
That's that looks like he did make a switch.
He was throwing the previous match a pin down, hole down, Sonic, something that's going to roll up sooner than he was throwing a mission pin up with a hole on his axis, which is just kind of like a stabilizer hole.
And this is a hypercell fuse.
Yeah, and that's a hypercell fuse, something that's a little flippier on the back end, which I don't know if that's going to be a good move or not, because that ball moves left anyway. It's going to be hard to control the back end with that.
Well, do you think he's making a change and realizing you better shoot 240? I mean, you have to assume that, right?
Oh yeah. 10 pin. I think Walter might be using two different balls. The right lane does appear to be tighter. I think he's going to use his Kingpin Max, which is a duller ball, and a Tenacity on the left lane. And
Which is a pretty aggressive ball, correct?
Yeah, and it's a pearl ball. And when I was talking to him, he goes, it's a pearl ball with shine. And I said, could you repeat that? Because you never throw anything with some shine on it.
Yeah, shine is what he shined it 3
Yeah,
months ago and's got 400 games on it, but it's still shiny, right?
Yeah, and shine to him is maybe 1,000 pad
Yeah.
instead of a 360. Walter likes to see his ball just hook a little bit sooner and set. He doesn't like that crazy back end stuff. Obviously, it's proven to be really good for him.
Yeah, he's had a pretty solid career, I think we can say.
Yeah.
No question. And here's a look at that shot with the other ball. It picks up a little bit later, did it, than the...
Yeah, it's way later down lane. I just, the big thing, he's going to have control on that left lane if he gets too aggressive. I think he can overthrow that break point a little bit. That ball can get down there too quick. Talking to Ron Mohr after it, he goes, this pair was tighter than everything they bowled on today. And he goes, I felt like I was throwing it hard today, and I had to come over here and slow it down. And he said on that last shot he left that 10 pin, he amped it up, and he goes, it just never read. And that's what we've seen on the film.
Right. Now, they did re-oil between this round and this one.
Right.
So they're back on their fresh, but the lane didn't really have a lot of time to cool.
Didn't have a lot of time to set.
That makes it tighter then, right?
What we call live oil. The oil hasn't had time to really set on the lane, so it's still moving around, so it could create, and the shot could change drastically by the title match. If you get a side view of Joel, the way his wrist operates in his backswing, he's out on the side of the ball. It almost looks like he's going to throw a full roller because he's on the side and coming back through, and it really puts him right up the back of the ball. He gets great length down the lane.
Well, the goat throws a double at you, you come back and give it right back to him. It's got to feel good.
Yeah. I think, obviously, the nerves have gone away from Joel. Now he's just got to keep striking, because if Walter's lined up, he's not going to stop striking.
So Tom Carter, we mentioned to our viewers, you were out there, your double duty ball repping for Walter, but really, how much ball repping you have to do with Walter? I mean,
surprising. Well, not a lot, but he does. Thank God, trust my opinion on ball choices and ideas. When he won the Masters last year, I suggested a ball on a layout, and he ended up winning. So we get along pretty good. He asked my opinion on what I see. So, but when he gets really fired up and I need to tell him something, he doesn't really like to be talked to. So,
but in this position, you're kind of more like a caddy, right? Yeah, 7-iron. Yep, I agree. Yeah, do it.
That, right? Pretty much. I said, well, I think you need to move. Either slow up or move right. And he goes, I'll move a quarter board. Most people are talking about moving boards.
So have you gone up to him and said, Walter, no, you were wrong. Don't do that? Have you got to do that yet?
No, I like where I'm at. Because he'll just look at me like I lost my mind. Did you see him in practice throw it two-handed with that black diamond?
Yeah, and he 7-10'd. Yeah.
No, he struck. He did strike.
Oh, he did strike after that? Yeah, I saw him 7-10 the first one when he was teasing John Burke. Hey, watch this. And
he said his highest game to date two-handed is 299, and it was with the black diamond. That's what'd you leave? And he goes, 5-pin.
Okay, that's some justice there then.
In the side view, you watch his wrist action. He turns the ball in and turns it back out right at the peak of the swing.
Take the lead.
Turns in, then turns back.
A lot of wrist movement in that, and the mistake.
Did I say I didn't like that ball because I thought it was going to change direction too much when it changes? That ball's pretty violent, I think, on the back end. It moves.
Why do you think he went to something like that? I mean, he had a discussion with Jimmy Callahan on how to approach it. Any idea what the thought process was there?
You got me befuddled there because as well as he threw that sonic and it stayed out and rolled up off the spot, I would have thought he would have done that. And then if Jimmy's helping him over there on the sideline, I'd be get that gold ball back in your hand. You know.
I mean, they're both pearlized, correct? But it's asymmetric versus symmetric, you know, with a more controllable block in the sonic.
Right, and this one's probably pinned up. The other one's pinned down with a hold down, which is going to start up sooner. You shouldn't have as much violent motion on the back end.
You know, time to really shake off the nerves now after that big four. And he comes back with a strike.
I think this ball, just by watching him, forces him to throw it harder to keep it on line.
Or maybe he should be doing like Walter, different ball in each lane, because this looks pretty good there. Couple of strikes now on lane 23.
Yeah, the left lane hooks more.
But that's hard to do as well, though. I mean, mentally, when you want to throw two different balls, it's not, you know. You like to keep it simple. I just want to throw the same ball in the same spot on both lanes, but it doesn't always work.
You want to keep it simple, but, you know, when you're warming up and you see that, you kind of got to go with it. You only got, it's not like qualifying. We don't have 10 games here to figure it out. They got 10 frames. And this goes by really fast. We got an hour and a half and we have a title.
Right.
And, you know, when you're sitting down there, first frame, next thing you know, you're in the ninth and going, what happened?
Well, I think what we've seen through the years, that's the difference between your Pete's and your Walters is, you know, after a shot in each lane, they're not going to get fooled again.
No.
Right? They're going to make an adjustment and figure it out.
Walter's really lifting through it, keeping the ball on line. Obviously, he doesn't like to swing it unless he has to. His A game is playing outside. Always has been. I mean, he can hook it. There's no doubt about it. We've watched him shoot 300 playing sixth arrow. I mean, he can play in.
Oh, yeah.
But if you get a chance to play where you like to play,
just drooling over it. Interesting story with Carlson. We mentioned his best finish third at the Villages a couple years ago. Remember, that was a time when he lost his shoes. So we kind of nicknamed him Shoeless Joel. You know, and he's still wearing the same shoes today. He never got his old shoes back. Somehow there was some confusion in the paddock, and he come out the bowl, and he's still got the lucky pair of shoes now as he's trying to best that.
At the paddock at the Villages, it's probably pretty easy to pick up somebody else's stuff. There seems like 9,000 balls in there. Speaking of that, I thought I had everything packed up today, and I walked by the paddock, and I go, wow, that bag looks familiar.
Whoops.
I almost left a 3-ball bag here.
It's a good thing we're putting your work and you're still here to catch that. All right.
He's fighting back.
I like it. No give up, and, you know, just keep doing it and keep trying, keep striking.
Never give up.
Give yourself a chance.
You know,
and hope Walter gives you a chance, which doesn't happen a lot.
No. It's happened, but I wouldn't be counting on that at the end.
27 pin advantage. Walter A. Williams Jr.
Walter just went to wearing glasses here this last year. It's kind of funny. He goes, yeah, you know, there's splices between those boards.
Yeah, like he didn't know that. Oh, he's always wore glasses, but not just bowling, right? I mean, he's kind of started wearing them bowling.
Yeah, he's, you know, he wore them when he's figuring up his score sheet and stuff, but he never wore them bowling.
He needs a calculator for that. The numbers are so big.
Well, this tournament he averaged, 245, and took the lead.
Yeah. Oh, that was creeping high a little bit.
Maybe it's the camera angle, but I thought that was going to be a little bit
I'm with you.
nosy there.
With you. This looks like it's high flush. Oh, well, that's definitely high.
Oh, that was big 4 high, and he's pulling the ripcord, and he knows something we don't know. Joel definitely needs these next two if he's got to put some pressure back on Walter. Walter looks pretty lined up. But maybe that was just a freak hiccup there in the 4th frame that he had. That ball seems to be working pretty good. He's crossing like, you know, 7, taking it out to 3-4 down lane.
He still gets 252. Walter's max 279, so it's far from over. But Walter will have a chance to get up and win it in his 9th and 10th frame, regardless of what Joel does here. All you can do is strike and say, there you go, Walter.
Yeah. Just make your best shots. Keep your head in the game. You never know what your opponent's going to do.
Wow. The delayed messenger there.
He got shown a little love there. I mean, but they play that shot over and over and over again. Dale Ballard and Pete Weber. You never know what's going to happen when Dell threw it in the gutter.
No.
You know, and you never expected that to happen. I don't see Walter throwing it in the gutter though, because he doesn't throw it that direction.
Right. Yeah, he's not going left to right at all. He's going right to that 1-3. Ooh, with authority.
Yeah,
that one had a little gumption behind it there.
He yanked that one out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like just dead up the back of the ball, letting the ball actually make its turn. He's not trying to overturn the ball. And there's so much friction. Obviously, you don't need to help the ball go left. It's going to go left. You know, just go through it. The more you try to help it on this pattern, the worse it gets.
That's it.
I think he just closed the door.
You know what? Great tournament for Joel Carlson. I know he's going to finish 4th. He's got to be happy with that.
You know, he made
Start
the show.
The season.
This tournament had, 132 bowlers, and we're down to the top 5. And he's one of the guys that made the show, and there's a lot of guys wishing they'd be there.
He got to learn a few things, getting in match play, throwing some different pieces of equipment when he gets back in his position, something to build on.
Well, yeah, he'll take this as a learning experience, because what a great experience to have anyway. You know, he'll go home tonight and think about this, and I could have done this, but it's a learning experience. I mean, he's a great player, obviously, and he'll be back here again. You know, it's just a matter, he's got to bowl more tournaments.
Yeah, not much time to think. He's got to head right to the Villages, where he had his best finish ever. His practice is tomorrow. For a major.
Yeah, first time being a major there. 3 different squads, no re-oil. We get to bowl on the burn. That'll be quite interesting.
Next up, we got Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Mike Mineman out of St. Louis, Missouri. Mineman has one national title, 2006 Bear Classic.
And short pattern.
Was it?
Yep.
Probably beat Walter. Walter was probably on the show. We'd have to guess.
We'll have to ask that.
We're going to assume back then he was on every show.
But Mike definitely likes playing it straighter up the outside, so this next match is going to be, I think, pretty good.
All right. Practice time up. We'll get ready. Back for more up next. Final discussions here on the players, how to attack it. Walter just shoots 268 to eliminate Joel Carlson. And Mike Mineman, got a national title. Been on TV before. Doesn't bowl a lot out of St. Louis. A chance here, again against Walter Ray. But Mineman. Oh, that's so hard to say.
You're having a little trouble with that,
Let's
aren't
go
with
Mike.
Okay,
Let's call him Mike.
Eminem, how's that?
Came out of the cashers round this morning, so he's been bowling all day long. How does that factor into what's going on?
How many games is that? 5,
10, 16,
12, 17.
Practice, and a bunch.
7. And practice 20. He's got to be in his 20th some game today bowling.
And we saw in practice a much different style and approach, a lot slower. We've seen the lanes get a little bit touchy. Is the lack of ball speed going to hurt him, you think, or has he got a trick to combat that?
I think he's got a trick. At the bottom of his swing, he really lets his wrist collapse, so he's going to get the ball down the lane pretty much effortlessly. Whether the ball reads the back end strong enough to strike enough, that's going to be the thing. The right lane being so far still being tighter could play an issue.
So assuming he should go with a weaker piece of equipment to control that break point, or
on the right lane, he's been using, believe it or not, a pearl ball the whole tournament because he doesn't have a lot of ball speed. He's not throwing it real hard. And he's kind of going at the pocket. I would think he would want to throw a little bit more surface, but that's just from what I see back here. Walter didn't do a lot of practice, and so I don't know if he got a little stiff in the break or not.
Nah. And probably no advantage one or the other. Walter just shot 268. He missed once on each lane, I think. So it doesn't matter if you make him start or if you start, right? He's got both lanes figured out.
At this point, he does. He's still throwing that tenacity of Pearl ball on the left lane. See if he goes to the kingpin. I think Mike is throwing a rocket. And it's basically, a label drill, nothing fancy. Just kind of up the back of the ball.
Rocket ship, is that the Pearlized version, I think?
Yeah, I just think he's going to, that wasn't one of his better shots. He's going to have to go so straight on that right lane at the pocket. You watch his wrist right there as it comes down. It breaks and gets to the side of the ball a little bit. And, when you kind of get to the side, you thumb down it, you're going to yank the ball. Not that that's what he wanted to do, but that's what his wrist done.
Well, and he's had a solid day. I mean, I think he's averaged close to 240 for the day, so it's not like he's been bowling bad. He's got this figured out, but it's different now. Now it's head-to-head against the GOAT, Walter Ray Williams Jr., for a chance to move on and win a title. So a little different pressure than we've seen all day.
And you got to know in the back of your mind that Walter's lined up, and I don't know. Walter and I have talked a lot, but I've never asked him, is there anybody that he actually, when he gets on the approach, worried about? Is there one competitor out there that he's like, gets the jits about? I don't know if there's anybody like that or not. Obviously, he got 107 titles. He didn't bother too many people.
No.
Or bothered him, rather. Mike, he's got a pro shop down at St. Clair Bowl. Big pro shop.
Oh, ripping 10.
Oh, he thought that was there.
And there's some history at St. Clair Bowl, right? You know the history there? The last ABC TV show, I believe, was St. Clair Bowl.
Really? Bowled there many a times. Quite a unique place. Big place. Got an upstairs to it. Kind of a game room bar upstairs. It's got glass. You can look down and watch the players down below. A lot of state tournaments. The boys' high school state tournaments there in Illinois.
Well, a couple of spares for Walter to start things off. He hesitated picking that up.
Yes. Obviously something's going through his head. He didn't like, obviously, his reaction last time, so.
He needs to make a change. What's his next move, do you think? Just firmer.
You're talking about a guy that is telling me he's making quarter board adjustments.
Yeah.
What's his next move?
Quarter board and 16th of a mile an hour adjustment.
From our perspective back here, I can't see if he moved a quarter of a board. If the left lane starts going longer, and he's obviously got two options. And he's either going to move right and make that quarter board move. Slowing down, he doesn't really like to do, so I would think he would probably go to something with a little bit more surface to it.
The semifinal match here, 2018 Lucas Magazine Classic here at Lane Glo Bowl. Craig Elliott, Tom Carter. We're watching Mike Mineman and Walter Ray Williams Jr.
Mike beat Mike Machuga for his title.
Well over a decade ago. And here he is again with a chance for his first PBA national title. But we've got Warren Eales waiting for the winner of this one, another very inexperienced player.
Yeah, but he's, like I said in the early interview, he's tall, lanky guy, got a long swing, got great speed. His speed's going to be a factor in the final game. It could be if the outside's drying up.
Let's also remember there's, Warren's out in Las Vegas. There's another guy who didn't bowl a lot on the national tour from Las Vegas who's done okay in Ron Mohr. So,
yeah.
I mean, similar pedigree, guys that went and worked full-time jobs, didn't bowl a lot on tour, but he's stayed in the game. It's not like he hasn't bowled for 20 years.
That's the thing about the senior tour. We get guys come out all the time and you go, oh, a new face. And there's a lot of guys that had their job for 30 years and they're coming out here and they're fantastic bowlers. They just never got a chance or the opportunity to come out on tour. And we see a lot of people that you don't even know,
right.
And there's a lot of great bowlers all over the country. That's what's nice about the senior tour. We travel all over. You get to meet a lot of people and you see a lot of guys that you never normally wouldn't see and go, wow, that guy throws it pretty good. Why doesn't he bowl more often? You know?
And that guy right there, those are pretty good. That one split the 8-9. I think he just firmed it up and jammed it in there. There's a late 10 pin as well.
Two totally different wrist actions at the bottom of the swing. You watch Walter, his is locked, firm. He goes right through the shot, which gives you length. It's not like the kids where they break it down, they snap through it at the bottom of the swing. Then you got Mike, who if guys are out there trying to learn how to play a cheetah pattern and play outside, you might want to do what Mike does, is kind of collapse that wrist at the point of release and get some free skid in the front part of the lane so it doesn't read as early. And right at the bottom, it just goes boom.
Oh, bad break. Bad break.
That's the biggest thing for young players. Right there, you see his wrist kind of clap and rotate to the side. When they first time they bowl on cheetah or a short pattern, they all think they have to stand way left or, you know, get something. I got to get something pearlized and stand way left and throw it to the gutter.
Throw like Eugene McCune and just 23 mile an hour.
And that's not the way you play short patterns. We kind of do what is literally the opposite.
Got a chance.
Throw duller equipment, play farther outside. Guys like, well, why do you want to stay outside? If you think about the lane surface and all your open play and your league players, everybody plays basically from the second arrow on the right to the second arrow on the left. I mean, that part of the lane gets beat up pretty good. Mm-hmm. So when you put oil on a lane and that oil is outside of 5, that surface never gets used. So you get automatic free skid out there because the ball's going to go longer. That surface is pristine out there. And so you get the ball down the lane farther.
There's good bounce back. Splits the 8-9 perfectly. So it gives Walter a little lead.
Kind of like what happened to Joel last, in the 4th frame. He came up with a big 4. He came up with a 4-9.
Yeah, both on lane 24.
Yeah. And that's the lane that it's tricky because it's slicker, so you want to make sure you get it up there. You don't want to miss it right. And both times they went high.
And another messenger. What is that?
Yeah, he's throwing messengers. He's senior player throwing messengers. I heard a comment when he was up in Maine that he was bowling very well up there, and they said he's throwing like he's 35 years old again.
Hey, finished 4th. Yeah, finished 4th in that 64-man field. Lost to the eventual champion, Dick Allen.
Oh, I didn't know if you liked that. Had that little hop right there.
Walter, though, you wonder how does he kick the count? Going that firm, he doesn't have a huge rev rate. You would think he's going to 10-pin a lot, but he's not.
No, the ball's rolling. He gets the ball to the spot to where it actually creates maximum revs where you need them. And that's the big thing. Don't get the ball rolling too soon. Get it to the spot. If you can get it to the spot, it comes off of it pretty strong. Hey, take a look at Norm Duke. He's made a pretty good career of playing outside. His ball never looks like it's reading the front, and all of a sudden it picks up a roll and goes left.
The Walter's more skid tip roll than anything.
Hey,
another 4-pin.
We've always kind of I think Walter's wanting to see his ball hooked sooner, so he has hook set way sooner. The closer you get your break point, the easier it is to control. The farther your break point's down the lane, it's harder to control. And on the short pattern, you got to kind of control the pocket because if you don't, you're going to be shooting junk all day long.
And Mineman's in trouble now. He's going to need some help. He needs to get up there, throw a couple more strikes, and try to put some sort of pressure on Walter A. Williams Jr.
Well, you can tell he's a little bit nervous. He's sweating a little bit more than normal. You're like, all right, you got to get through this.
It's been a while for him. We don't see him out here a lot, and to get out here, your first term of the year on the PBA50 tour here in 2018, and qualify second. I hope these guys are nervous. They should be nervous.
Right. It's a national title. If you weren't nervous, something's wrong. Mike's ball just doesn't look like it's finishing strong enough to drive through the pins. It looks like it's quitting on him. You know, you can tell it doesn't pick up a roll until it's past the last rangefinder, and that's too late. Ball doesn't have enough time to generate any power. True, he's getting it down the lane, but when you're bowling against the guy that's striking, you got to figure out how to strike. Hear that ball going down the lane on spares. He's dead behind it there because it's rolling over, I think, every hole it's got.
Kind of like Walter Ray does quite a bit. The old thump, thump, thump a 10 pin. Ball's not going to hook when it's doing that.
No, it can't hook in the air.
No. Well, 225 is a max score for Mineman. And Walter's
in cruise control right now.
That, yeah. All right, so if you're Warren Eales and you're seeing this performance from Walter, 268 last game, he's trying to do pretty much the same thing here. Does that change your game plan knowing, I mean, we kind of mentioned coming in here, Mineman thinks, okay, I got to shoot at least 240. Now you think I got to shoot at least 260 if you're Eales.
But Warren's got to think about his game. Warren's, I mean, from watching him, he's just got that long swing, and he throws the ball pretty firm, which I mean, he's going to have to be on his game. Walter's rolling it a little bit more. He's throwing a little bit slower. I would worry that Warren on the right lane is going to leave a lot of junk because he's not going to get the ball to turn up.
Yeah.
And he is throwing, you know, he's throwing an aggressive ball. He's throwing, and rightly so with his ball speed. He's got a surface on the ball. He's throwing a pin down. He's got a hold down. I think he's throwing a phase two. He's going to get that ball going. But, you know, when you're bowling a guy that you know has got the pocket locked in, you better make sure that you're making crisp shots because Walter's not going to give you any break. I mean, basically, he hasn't missed the pocket, and it's either strike or single,
strike or 10 pin, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this one's 4 on the next shot. Walter wins. So we're going to have Warren Eales, a non-member here, bowling Walter A. Williams Jr. for the title here in Port Richey.
And if Warren is watching this, that's got to kind of get in your head a little bit. That right lane is obviously tricky. You know, Mike's having a heck of a time controlling the back end on that. But he's throwing a pearl ball again. Pearl balls come off the spot a little bit harder.
Well, not the performance he wanted here in the semifinal match, but he's got to be pretty pleased with his overall tournament the last couple of days.
You got to figure, I think he's 58. He's getting close to 60. And he's bowled 22, 23 games.
So you better watch out for him. He's going to come after those 60 checks now.
Thanks. I kind of worry about my game. It's, you know, I got a new knee. I got to figure out how to work it. I got new parts. So far, no motorhome issues. Everything's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, if you do, I mean, you've got enough spare parts in your knees. If you need something motorhome, you can just swap a piece out,
you know,
right?
I think they're all interchangeable.
Well, they should be. Why not? So a couple shots to make it official, but we're going to have Walter Ray Williams Jr. taking on Warren Eales for the title here, Lane Glo Bowl in Newport Richey, Florida. Mike Mineman gets his final couple of shots here in the 10th frame.
Oh, if Mike got the ball on the left lane, I think we would have had a match. The right lane was the trick. You know, he's definitely got more back end motion on that left lane. If Warren figures out the right lane and how to get the ball off the spot in the right and with the right rev rate, he's going to be okay. I just worry about his ball speed throwing it through the spot, but we'll see. That's the fun part of this game. Mike dead solid on every shot in the 10th. Nice finish, 201. Walter's got a possible 258. Mike can't be disappointed. Finishing third, first tournament out. I'd take third, first tournament out.
So here's something that's a surprise for Walter. It's been almost 2 years since he's won on the PBA50 Tour.
Really?
The Treasure Island Viper Championship.
That's kind of hard to believe.
I know, I agree. So, well, you know, there was the Pete Weber year a couple years ago, and then Ron Mohr in a bunch of finals, and Lenny Borsch last year.
Well, yeah,
a lot of great players out here winning titles.
Ron Mohr, I think we worked together, and how many times Ron had finished second last year, and he was in the show and just couldn't get the monkey off his back. 248.
Congratulations to my buddy from Belleville, Illinois, Mike Mineman. Nice tournament, Mike. And Walter Wright moves on again. Congratulations to him.
They're going to give Warren a few practice shots, then we'll get into the title match.
Yeah, Walter Ray Williams Jr., Warren Eales for the title here in Newport Richey.
Guys, good luck and high score.
Well, obviously, a David versus Goliath matchup here. I mean, we can go on and on about Walter's accolades. And Warren Eales, great resume, collegiate bowler, national championships, bowls great at the Open Championships, but this is for a national title on the PBA50 tour against Walter Ray Williams Jr.
He's got to be a little bit nervous. He has to be, but he's got a great game. I love his arm swing. As we were just saying off camera that, the last three guys in the title, you have to be 6'3" to make the show.
Yeah, and I tell you, it is harder. I mean, I'm taller myself. It's you got to get lower than everybody else.
Well,
you're farther away from the ground, obviously.
The thing that's going to be an issue here is Warren's got such great ball speed on the tight lane. If he can control that back in and doesn't throw it right through it.
And, he is listed as an Arizona resident, but he works in Vegas and bowls a lot in Vegas. He bowls league at the stadium, bowls a lot of competition out there. So it's not the physical game and the bowling game for him, but it's, I think, to me, I don't know, Tom, do you agree? You're bowling against Walter. That's the big factor in this.
Well, that's got to play in your head. I mean, you're on the big stage right now. And you're a part-time bowler. Yeah, he's done great at the USBCs, like you said. But still, when you're bowling the greatest of all time, and you've obviously watched him for years on TV, now you're on the same approach with him. Maybe that doesn't bother some people. They got formaldehyde in their system,
Yeah,
and
it sure should.
And it doesn't bother them. But I would think for most of us, you'd be shaken.
We will clarify for our listeners. Walter did win the Senior Masters last year. We missed that, and I run down just another one of the 107 titles on his docket.
Walter just switched to the Kingpin Max on the left lane, which is an aggressive ball. During the break, went down, talked to him, and he thought the left lane was now tighter than the right lane.
But he's striking with every shot. How do you know?
I asked him, I said, you going to make another quarter board move? And he goes, no, I'm going to throw the green ball. We have a little break in the action here.
Here he comes.
There he is.
A little quick, maybe?
Did I say the right lane might be a little bit of an issue? You can just see that ball just, it gets down there at that 42-foot zone and just doesn't read the back end. And any spare on the left side, especially if it's multiple pins, isn't easy to pick up on this stuff. Made it with no problem. Piece of cake. I'd like to know what's going through his head right now. Like, just you'd be thinking, Walter's got a double. I just give him an open, an extra 10 pins on me.
Happy thought.
Yeah,
That's
happy
what's going
thoughts.
through his head right now.
That's not a good thing. True, he is using an aggressive ball, phase 2, but with his ball speed, I don't think he's given it time to roll. And on our fresh, when we in qualifying, I think the lanes hooked more, and his ball came off the spot much harder yesterday. Today, it's not coming off the spot since this re-oil.
Uh-oh.
little hop, skip, and
that looked a little left off his hand,
Yeah.
but he got it. Well, if you come in thinking you need to shoot 260, that means you need
you got to strike
the
out.
rest of them.
Yeah, you got to strike out.
I mean, Walter's 268, 248.
He's on cruise control. Not what he wanted, but he's still in the driver's seat. It's funny, the great players like him and Pete and Norm, I mean, they just see the lane so much different than a lot of the other players out here, and seeing what the ball does and how it really breaks on the lane. Walter and I go round and around about what he sees and what I see. I've actually had to, on my phone, film it and go, this is what I see. You know, he goes, well, I see this, you know. And as long as we are on the same page, you know, I understand what he sees, then it's easy to help with him. But
That's a great point, though. I mean, the way people see, I mean, and we've talked about that, what you see from the foul line and what you see from back here on the camera or 20 foot behind, totally different.
Totally different. And most people never see the front 15 feet of the lane anyway. So they don't know if their ball is hooking early or not, or if they actually went across their target. Well, a lot of people think just because the ball was close to the target, it was on it. Hey, a good friend of mine, Chris Keene, he hooks the ball so much. I mean, to him, he looks like he's playing up two, and he's literally standing on -8, way right of the gutter, but he drifts to the left, and he ends up sliding on like 13, so his set down point's around 9. But he thinks he's playing like straight up two, and that's the way he sees the lane. That's what his eyes see. And it's funny, you talk to bowlers, and a lot of them see the lane, you know, different from what we see back here.
That, just missed it, maybe?
No, he hit up. I mean, he got that out of the lane. It hit and kind of went around it. But again, the ball can't hook in the air, and when it's on the tighter lane, you might need it down rolling. And Warren's a good enough player to know that he's running out of frames against Walter Ray.
Yeah, spare sheets 258. Walter's average of 254 his first 2 games, and you don't expect him to be really any lower than that.
No.
What we're seeing right now. Yeah, he left that 7-pin the last shot on 24, but that's all he's left is what, 6-9 counts now in
you
2
know,
and a quarter games.
He had the chance to surface that ball and add a little bit more to it. I don't know if he did or not, but with his ball speed, would have been a good suggestion. It's amazing how, in the league, you talk about getting the ball to the back end and wanting to see it go left. And out here, we're talking about getting the ball to slow down so it doesn't go left as much. It's a whole different perception out here than when you're home.
Good shot.
Good shot. Real good shot there. Looks like he might have got a little bit, you know, moved a little right. Because he's playing out there. He's crossing like 2-3 right at the arrows. Dead solid at the line. Got a good game, long swing. You can see why he's done good at the USBCs. He's a player. He's one of those guys that you never see, then comes out of nowhere. And like, where'd this guy come from? You know where this guy came from. You've seen him on Saturday afternoon for a long time.
That looked like 10-pin all the way to me, but somehow he kicks it.
He's crossing like 7 at the arrows. He's like 7 down at the break point. I mean, that's pretty straight down the lane. 7 to 7 and just let the ball roll up.
Oh, it's 7 to 7 and a quarter.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, short pin. Just didn't get around there. That lane is getting tighter to him, you know. 10 pin.
Well, we've got a bit of a ball game now. Gonna get interesting here.
Yeah, he thought that was going to roll around and hit it. It just never got there. He'd have taken a messenger. It's still a ball game. Throwing a black diamond. Somebody had it on the shelf.
And yes, he is older than the bowling ball, but not by very much. Only a couple of years. Yeah, that's a 50-plus-year-old spare ball there. There's a difference. Walter's just relaxed back there, putting the notes in his phone.
He puts every shot and every competitor he's ever bowled, he has a record of. You know what his lifetime spare average is?
94.
98.9.
Ridiculous. All right, he needed it. He got it. Nice shot.
Okay. He's kind of back in the match. That was a little softer.
Oh, look at how that ball slowed down.
Yeah.
It literally slowed down and then
turned the corner.
Turned the corner, yeah. Got a great look at it there. How you can see the colors kind of change where it caught the friction. But 10 feet after the pattern, though.
Well, it's supposed to be 33 feet, but you would think it would start hooking sooner. But the amount of volume on the lane is making it get down the lane. And like I said, we got 25 mils, which is on a new surface.
Oh,
that was a
all
great.
Right. And he's into it, too. How about that reaction?
Yeah, he was farther right, tripped out that 4-pin, got a little love tap from the backside there. That looked like one of Walter's shots that was extremely high flush, and it tripped out the 4.
I think we're kind of tied now. 258 max for both players, right? Is that what we're reading? I believe so. Big double 4. Mohr and Eales on that shot.
Yes. Warren's going, I'm not scared.
And it doesn't look like it right now. He's
No.
giving it right back to him. You got a strike. Look what I got. I got a double for you.
I can do this. That ball looked good, just dead flush.
Well, he's carried a couple of those high flush shots, though.
Yeah.
That's flirting with big split.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
that one he carried on the left lane there, we replayed it and thought it was right through the nose, and it carried. He's had a little bit of trouble on this left lane carrying. Let's see what happens. I don't think he liked that. Yeah, I think he thought that was not going to make the turn.
No, and he watched that pin action too. The ball didn't go through the pins right, and the pin action was a little suspect.
That comment there is very true. I mean, the greats out here, they see how the ball goes through the pins, how it leaves the pin deck. They make adjustments off of that, because they know that they got that break, but they need to be in a better position with that ball going through the pins the next shot. I don't think realistically very many league bowlers watch the ball go through the pins or how it ever leaves the pin.
No, this strike or not. But something you really should be doing. You don't want to be steamrolling that 9-pin. Yeah, he struck, but it's not. You're not going to get away with that a lot. No. Right, how about that?
We have a match.
Game on.
Tie ball game. He's moved it inside. He's around 7 there. Get away from that out of bounds.
They're kind of on top of each other now. A little bit. A little back and forth action here.
Now it's just who's going to make the best shots. Seems like he's taking a little more time on this shot.
Well, if he strikes here, he cannot be shut out. Walter gets them all. He can get them all to tie. And all you can ask for is a chance to get up in the 10th.
And every bowler's dream is to throw 3 in the 10th, for the win. He's excited, but he doesn't seem to get overly excited, so he doesn't have to, calm back down. And these guys, they're able to control that heart rate, and they never get overly amped, They just stay in slow motion in their head. Well, Walter's in a position to force him to strike out to win, or to tie, to have a 1-ball roll-off.
We talked about it earlier. We talked about it in Maine. When he has a chance to get up in the 10th and force his opponent to mark or strike, he's going to do it. It's just what he does. He did it against Chris Barnes a week ago, and Chris did not strike. He did it earlier in one of his matches here on Xtra Frame, forces an opponent to do something in the 10th, and
Uh-oh.
he seems to do it.
Oh.
He's getting those high shots, I'm telling you.
At first, I thought he
doesn't
laid
seem
it out
fair.
there too far and it wasn't going to make it. Then that's why I'm going, uh-oh. Then the ball just turns up in the corner.
Look at how high this is.
I mean, he got it farther right, and with more into the friction, the ball come up higher. That's the way he played it. Fantastic. We'll find out if the second shot repeats. It's kind of like horseshoes, you know. He's pretty good at that too.
Pretty good at that, too. Uh-oh.
Oh. That ball didn't get near as far right. It wasn't near as far right, and it didn't come off the pattern. He was in the oil more.
Yeah, 10 finish 7-10 really didn't matter at that point. He still forces Warren to double.
He's got to throw a double to win. Okay. It's amazing. We go through all these games and all this qualifying, and it comes down to one frame. One shot.
Weird how that works, doesn't it? So Warren Eales, Chandler, Arizona.
Oh,
via
he
Las
changed
Vegas.
balls.
Wow.
Little self-talk there. He said something to himself. I'm like,
One. You can't get a double if you don't get the first one.
that's it. That was a great shot. Absolute great shot. That ball turned up just perfect down lane.
Strike to win, 9 spare, and we have a tie.
This has got to be.
Those happy thoughts might not be so happy right now. If you're not nervous at this point, and this is what you dream of, as you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
this is
I
your
mean,
bowling career.
your whole bowling career, you want this to happen. And whoever, you know, and he's bowling the greatest bowler of all time. You know, as a kid, you dream about things like this.
Do we have a big upset here?
I think we do.
How about that? Late 10-pin kick out.
Wow. He didn't really like it off his hand. He's like, get up there. He snaps out the 10. The 6 lays in the ditch, comes up, snaps out the 10. And we have a brand new champion.
Yeah, first time champion here. First time in a long time since we had a non-member win. I think last time was
2008.
2008. Nick Morgan.
I was there at that tournament. I remember that.
Very impressive. Just stay behind the foul line. Now he's already 248 anyway, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if he fouls
Doesn't
by
matter.
accident. In the victory lap. Congratulations, Warren Eales. We're going to run out there and get an interview with our champion. Thank you, Tom Carter, for joining
Thanks
us.
so much. I enjoyed it.
Congratulations, Warren Eales. Your first tour title. First guy to win as a non-member in a long time, as we just heard, but beating Walter Ray Williams Jr., the greatest of all time. What's going through your mind?
This whole past few days has been very surreal. I mean, you come down here for a few days of vacation on the Gulf Coast. You know, I love to bowl. I compete in a lot of events. And to, you know, have this, what a surprise, really. But, you know, a few years ago, I went and bowled a tournament. I hadn't been bowling that much, didn't have a high expectation. And I bowled well, and then all of a sudden found myself in a place that you know, I didn't expect to be, and I said I'd never let that happen again. And I just kept saying all week long here that wherever I'm at, I'm just going to, you know, bowl well, and you know, whatever happens, you know, I no ceiling on what my expectation.
Are we going to see you next week in the Villages?
Unfortunately, you know, I still work for U.S. Customs, and I think they're expecting me back. So, but you know, we'll look at the calendar and see.
Great bowling today. Great final match. You had to double into the 10th. What were you thinking at that 10th frame?
Well, I just have a pre-shot routine, and I swing the ball, and I tell myself to, you know, keep my hands soft and underneath the ball, and, you know, finish the shot. And that's basically whether I'm practicing or throwing it, you know, it is a little different, I'll tell you that. But that's what I did, and it worked.
Well, enjoy your moment and your evening. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And second place, Walter Ray. Great job, Walter. Next up on Xtra Frame, live from the Villages in a couple days. Thanks to the fans here. Thanks to our sponsors, Lucas Magazine and the Lane Glo family. And we'll see you in a couple days in the Villages.